the main character of The Alchemist Ring is based off of the life of a real French nobleman, Louis Armand de l'Homme d'Arcy, the Baron of Lahatan. Baron Lahatan wrote a couple books about his life as a soldier in Canada, which historians find quite accurate. But his account of the strange trip up the Long River, past make-believe tribes, up a river he labeled as the River of Death, before leaving a big fat alchemy clue in his strange treasure map, well, that's now seen as a fiction. In Baron Lahatan's book, his indigenous sidekick is Adario, who historians claim is based off the real Chief Kondiaronk, whose baptized Christian name was Gaspar. In real life, the explorer and war hero Lahatan ended up fleeing New France as a fugitive. So who better to smuggle him out than the real French pirate of the era and area, Jean Crapaud, the Toad. New England pirate Thomas Tew is also at the heart of this story, and he'll take the reader from Rhode Island all the way to the Indian Ocean. Thomas Tew is famous for plotting one of the greatest heists in human history, the attack on the Ganges Sawai convoy. His accomplice, Henry Avery, became the subject of a global manhunt. Rumors persisted that Avery was being kept at a secret pirate colony called Libertalia, which might have been founded by the lost Templar fleet. Besides vast riches, the Ganges Sawai also carried a Mughal princess, who was savagely raped and murdered by Avery's brute, Dalziel. So along with warring global powers France and England, the Alchemist Ring will also feature the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb, a deeply religious and eccentric man, and perhaps the world's wealthiest man of his era. England at the time was ruled over by Queen Anne and her foreign husband, Prince George of Denmark. While George Churchill was supposed to be running the Royal Navy, the true power in England was the man with the money, the Warden of the Mint, Sir Isaac Newton. At the time, Newton was more politician than scientist, but he had plenty of skeletons in his alchemy closet, including his own crest. Look familiar? It takes a thief to catch a thief, which is why England hired an alchemist to run the Royal Mint from Newton's own private fortress at the Tower of London. As a powerful Whig minister, Newton had plenty of political rivals, yet a secret institution worthy of a Dan Brown novel protected him, the Invisible College. Newton was assisted by his beautiful and seductive niece, Catherine Barton, who acted as a one-woman CIA of the day. Let's get back to our pirates. Another key character is Captain William Kidd, a New England privateer, which means he was hired by the English government to initially hunt down French vessels, but later to hunt down those Madagascar pirates who attacked the Ganges Sawai. You see, Captain Kidd already had history with those Madagascar pirates, especially his hated rivals, Robert Culliford and John Swan. Captain Kidd starts off as a good cop, but then becomes a bad cop, including an incident where he steals a ship from Mughal businessman Korgi Baba, a friend of Emperor Aurangzeb. These tales were written down in two famous historical works, The Life and Times of Captain John Avery by Adrian Van Brock, and A General History of Pirates by Charles Johnson. One big problem? They were written by ghostwriters. Neither Johnson or Van Brock were real people. If only we knew a man who could mix fantasy and reality. Meanwhile, up in the north, don't forget, the Jesuits and the Lemoyne family had a keen interest in Minnesota, which is why they'd established the Louisiana colony for Pierre Charles Le Sueur, right off the edge of the Caribbean. And yes, many of the Louisiana Lemoynes sailed with Caribbean pirates. Beautiful Marguerite, the wife of Pierre Charles Le Sueur, settled in Louisiana at this time and later remarried a man named Nicolas Chauvin, whose descendants had a very large legacy. You'll also find out what happened to Winona up in the Land of the Blue Woman when another fantasy reality author, Andre Pennicott, comes down the Mississippi to become a Louisiana historian? Really? Ultimately, the Pirates of Madagascar and the Pirates of the Caribbean meet their downfall at the hands of another privateer hired by England, the legendary Woodes Rogers, who makes sure that men like Blackbeard receive their due justice. So those are the real people in the fictional account of Louis Armand and his first mate Charlie. Buy a copy today at lurapublications.com/books.